Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Sports Interaction Studio, where we are bringing you the Warmies prior to today's Calgary Flames game against the Dallas Stars. My name is Mike Gould here with you as we're just past the bottom of the hour, almost at game time, almost 7 p.m. Mountain Time, and it's been a big day. It's been a busy day. The NHL is ramping up towards the trade deadline this Friday, and there's plenty to talk about. The Flames playing Dallas in one of about a dozen games on the schedule tonight in the NHL. A bunch of them are already underway. There are some that are relevant for the bottom of the standings as we continue to monitor the lottery race. And there's a few that have yet to get underway. So we'll just take you right through it. But we'll kick things off with a look at the betting lines from our friends over at Sports Interaction, where every game is your game. And as we look here, the Flames, they are not the favorites, as you might expect, at plus 115 against the Stars at minus 135. The over-under a little bit lower, and maybe that's just because the Flames have had a lot of trouble scoring of late. Over-under set at 5.5, and the spread favored at plus 1.5 at minus 220 there. As we look at things, the Flames at home this year are 15-10-4 compared to them on the road where they are 9-18-3. They're coming off a road swing in California where they went 1-1-1. So there's a look at your opening lines from the folks over at Sports Interaction. Once again, every game is your game when you bet with Sports Interaction. From puck drop to overtime, bet with Canada's homegrown sportsbook, 19 plus. Please play responsibly. The Calgary Flames, they're taking on the Dallas Stars tonight. This is the second of three meetings between these two teams this season. They previously met back on November the 22nd when it was the Flames taking that one by a 3-2 final score in a shootout. They blew a 2-0 lead. Matt Coronado and Joel Farabee scored in that game for Calgary. Jason Robertson and Rope Hintz tied it up for Dallas late in the third period, and then Nazem Kadri scored the shootout winner to seal a 3-2 win. The Flames coming off a shootout loss the other night on March the 1st. It was a final of 3-2 again in Anaheim. The Flames have points in their last 11 games at the Honda Center in Anaheim. But on Sunday, good Lord, on Sunday, they couldn't quite finish it all off. It was Joel Farabee and Yegor Sharangovich scoring the goals for the Flames in regulation time. Cutter Gauthier getting both of them for the Ducks, and then Mason McTavish, the beautiful shootout winner against Devin Cooley for the Calgary Flames. Not looking like it'll be Devin Cooley between the pipes for the Flames this evening. It will be Dustin Wolf. Going up, we expect, against Casey DeSmith for the Dallas Stars. Dustin Wolf this season is 17-22-3 with a .901 save percentage for the Calgary Flames. And Casey DeSmith is 12-4-5 with a .913 save percentage for the Dallas Stars. We'll have a look at the forward lines for the Calgary Flames in this one, as it's more of what we've come to expect over the last little while. Four centers, Nazem Kadri, Michael Backlund, Morgan Frost, and Johnny Beecher. The winger pairings are about what we've come to expect. Zary and Farabee together, Coleman and Coronado together, Sharangovich and Gridden get together, and Ryan Lomberg in for Marty Pospisil. Adam Klapka on the right side of line number 4 for the Calgary Flames. A notable change on the defensive side of things as Zane Parekh comes back in for the Calgary Flames. Parekh got the game in Anaheim off. He returns in place of Braden Pahal. The other two pairings are the same. Ball with Mackenzie Weegar, Yan Kuznetsov with Zach Whitecloud, and Joel Hanley on the left side of pairing number 3 for the Calgary Flames. Looking at the Dallas Stars side of things, haven't seen the Stars in a while. Haven't been seeing them since November. It's a good lineup. Wyatt Johnston on the top line with Maverick Bourque and Jason Robertson. Haven't seen a lot of Maverick Bourque on that line of late, but he'll get a plum assignment playing with a guy like Johnston, who has 63 points in 60 games this year. Still no Mikko Rantanen for the Dallas Stars, and now Rope Hintz is on the IR. So a little bit more from Nat Duchesne and Jamie Benn in the lineup, as Duchesne this year has 24 points in 35 games. Ben has also missed his fair share of time. He's at 23 points in 38 games. And Sam Steele on the left side of those two. No Tyler Seguin in the lineup, and he will miss the rest of the season, as we saw him being placed on season-ending long-term injured reserve in the last week. So the third line is a little bit different. Adam Ernie, Justin Ritzkowian, and Colin Blackwell. You can see why a team like Dallas might be looking to make a deadline addition for a player like a Blake Coleman or Nazem Kadri. Even though they've got a little bit of term on their contracts, we've heard some stuff coming up about Dallas maybe not wanting to add guys who've got a little extra term. Still, though, I mean, this is not a bottom six that you want to be seeing for a Dallas Stars team heading into the Stanley Cup playoffs, notwithstanding the fact that they're going to get Rantanen and Hintz back at some point down the stretch. On the defensive side of things for Dallas, you still maybe wonder about them adding another defenseman. Nils Lundqvist probably better suited on the third pairing of a contending team. That top pair is well tested. Esa Lindell with Miro Heiskanen, Thomas Harley on P2 with Lundqvist, and then Leon Bichelle with Ilya Lyubushkin on pairing number 3 for the Dallas Stars. No Jake Ottinger tonight. It will be Casey DeSmith, the former Pittsburgh Penguin and Vancouver Canuck, between the pipes for the Stars against the Flames. So that's a little look at the lineups for these two teams. Let's have a look at some of the other games going on around the National Hockey League, because there's a lot of intrigue with some of these matchups tonight. One of the big ones that is midway through, just got to the end of the second period. Buffalo against Vegas. Of course, the two sides of the Jack Eichel trade all those years ago, but now also a couple of teams looking to make some damage in the postseason. Buffalo looks like they're going to make it. They're up 3-2 over Vegas after 2. It was 3-0, but Ivan Barbashev and Pavel Dorofeev have scored in the second period to make it a one-goal game. Tage Thompson, Owen Power, and Jason Zucker with the goals for Buffalo. The big news that came out today, the big rumor that hit the mill, was from Darren Dreger this morning, talking about how the Buffalo Sabres have emerged as a top potential suitor for Robert Thomas from the St. Louis Blues. Of course, Thomas is a player who would address the Sabres' needs very well. The Sabres have been more inclined to use Tage Thompson as a winger for a lot of this season. And so if they get Thomas, that would provide them with a really nice piece of business down the middle, where you can go with Thomas, Josh Norris, and Ryan McLeod as your top 3 centers. I think the Sabres would really like to do that and push Thomas back to the wing, Thompson to the wing, to play with one of those 3 centers. And then, of course, the other side of it is that Calgary has Vegas's first this year, and Vegas has been kind of faltering of late, not really inclined to take the lead in that Western Conference Pacific Division standings by a large margin. Vegas has lost back-to-back games in regulation. They're 3-5-2 in their last 10. They're only 1 point up on the Anaheim Ducks for first place in the Pacific Division. The Ducks have now won 5 in a row. So the more that Vegas loses, the better the Flames' second first-round pick starts to look. So one of the interesting games on the out-of-town scoreboard for certain this evening. Another one that has some intrigue, the Nashville Predators up 2-1 over the Columbus Blue Jackets right now, late in the second period of their game in Columbus at Nationwide Arena. And this one is interesting because the Predators have already made one trade today. Let's put it up on the screen. We saw it earlier this afternoon. It was Michael McCarron, big center for the Nashville Predators, going to the Minnesota Wild in exchange for a second-round pick in the 2028 NHL draft. A bit of a head-scratcher from the standpoint of the Minnesota Wild. I understand McCarron is definitely a big player. He's 6'6", 232. It was a first-round pick 13 years ago of the Montreal Canadiens. But for a guy who was drafted 13 years ago, he's got 33 NHL goals in his entire career. In 361 games. This year with the Predators, 5 goals, 12 points in 59 games. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense for me from the Minnesota standpoint of giving away a second-round pick for a player like Michael McCarron. And then this is also interesting. Cole Smith, another depth forward for this Nashville Predators team. Smith's got 6 goals and 10 points in 41 games this year. Also 30 years of age, just like Michael McCarron. And Cole Smith has played exactly 3 seconds in this game as we get late into the second period. 3 seconds in one shift. He is apparently still on the bench, on the Predators bench in Columbus. Cole Smith just sort of waiting to see what happens, I suppose. But wouldn't that be something if we see the Predators make another move with a guy like Cole Smith, who, again, has played one shift for 3 seconds in this game against Columbus? Don't remember the last time I ever saw something like that. We did see a move yesterday with the Edmonton Oilers acquiring Connor Murphy from the Chicago Blackhawks in exchange for another 2028 second-round pick. Murphy is not going to be playing tonight for the Oilers, who are active. They are taking on the Ottawa Senators at Rogers Place, 3 hours north of here. But it will not be Connor Murphy in the lineup. They'll be going with Ty Emberson and Spencer Stasny as their bottom four right-handed defensemen. Of course, the Oilers had a need for a depth defenseman, a defensive defenseman, a right-shot defenseman, and they got it with Connor Murphy. To me, the only thing that I see with Connor Murphy in Edmonton, though, is that they got Chicago to retain about half his salary. And earlier this year, the Oilers were paying Brett Kulak about the same amount of money to play in a similar role. Now, Kulak is not a right shot. He's a left shot. And so maybe not as natural a fit on the right side in Edmonton. But by the same token, does it really necessitate trading essentially 2 or 3 second-round picks to move from Brett Kulak to Connor Murphy? If you look at the way that trade has shaken out for the Oilers, they move Stuart Skinner, Brett Kulak, and a second-round pick to get Tristan Jarry from Pittsburgh. So there's 1 second-round pick. The Pittsburgh Penguins turn around and they flip Brett Kulak for a second-round pick and Sam Girard. So there's another second-round pick going to Pittsburgh. And now the Oilers go and give up another second-round pick to get Connor Murphy, who basically fills the void that Kulak was occupying for them in the first place. So to me, it's a strange asset pile that we're seeing moving in different directions. I mean, for me, if the Oilers, did the Penguins, what was the purpose of Kulak in that Jarry trade, if not just to equalize money? Because really, that's what it felt like. They got $5 million coming their way, so they had to send out $5 million in Skinner and Kulak, sort of as a cap dump. And Pittsburgh turns around and flips that guy, gets a pick out of it, and now the Oilers giving out another pick. That, to me, is just a little bit kind of curious. But it's all, a means to an end. The Oilers looking to get a guy like Connor Murphy to occupy a certain role for them. So we'll see how it shakes out, but he will not be making his Oilers debut this evening. Of course, there's all sorts of chatter around the National Hockey League. We're not expecting any shock trades tonight, at least not from the Calgary Flames standpoint. But of course, it remains to be seen. Nazem Kadri, Blake Coleman, of course, Robert Thomas. That's one of the big names. Vinny Trocheck. These are the big names up front that have not moved as of yet. And on the defensive side of things, I mean, we haven't seen anything yet with guys like Braden Bahal, Zach Whitecloud, Joel Hanley. No movement on that side from the Calgary Flames. So now less than 3 days until the trade deadline. It's on Friday at, I think, 3 p.m. Mountain Standard. And we'll just have to wait and see exactly what comes out of it. We'll have a look at some of the other games on the out-of-town tonight. Boston up 2-1 on the Pittsburgh Penguins after 2 periods of play at TD Garden. As well, the Utah Mammoth are up 3-1 on the Washington Capitals. That one after 2 as well in D.C. Chicago has tied it up against Winnipeg. This is a game that the Flames are going to be keeping a close eye on. The Jets and the Blackhawks both right there around the Calgary Flames in the standings. After 1, it is 1-1. Only 10 total shots in the first period between these two teams. Teuvo Teravainen and Dylan Samberg with the goals. Here's another one. The Florida Panthers just keep faltering. They're down 3-1 to the New Jersey Devils after 2 periods of play at the Prudential Center in Newark. Goals in that one from Cody Glass, Dougie Hamilton, and Arseny Gritsuk for the New Jersey Devils, and for Anton Lundell for the Panthers. So lots of interesting games on the docket, and still to come tonight, Minnesota hosting Tampa Bay, Anaheim hosting the Colorado Avalanche, and the Montreal Canadiens visiting the San Jose Sharks. So plenty of intrigue on the out-of-town scoreboard, but again, not a lot of movement so far on the trade front. Again, just the one trade today, Michael McCarron going to Minnesota from the Nashville Predators. Let's have a look at the props from Sports Interaction. We picked out a prop from those good folks. We'll put it up on the screen. Once again, you can go over to sportsinteraction.com/FlamesNation. This is the betting lines. I think we've got the props somewhere. I think I picked a shot prop. We had it. I can just read it off. Or no, it's an anytime goal scorer prop. It was Kadri, Coronado, Backlund, Sharon Govich, and Farabee. The top 5 on the anytime goal scorer side of things. Kadri at plus 240, Coronado at plus 270, Backlund at plus 350, Sharon Govich at plus 350, and Joel Farabee at plus 360. The one that I would maybe look at is Sharon Govich, because we saw him just now go 8 games without a point. But whenever Igor scores a goal, he seems to follow it up with a couple more goals shortly thereafter. I think we've got it up on the screen now here. Sharon Govich at plus 350. This is one that I would maybe look at if you're looking to bet over at Sports Interaction. He scored that nice goal in the last game, a beautiful shot. The crazy thing is, Igor Sharangovich now 2 goals off the Calgary Flames team lead. Once again, it's still Matt Coronado leading all of the Flames with 14 goals this season, and Igor Sharangovich now has 12 after that goal against the Ducks the other night. So that's one that I would maybe look at over at sportsinteraction.com/FlamesNation. Once again, every game is your game when you bet with Sports Interaction, with extensive betting options with 100+ markets per game, including player props, futures, and more. Build your bet with same-game parlays, easy deposits and payouts, lightning fast, Interac e-transfer, and other top payment options with Sports Interaction, a trusted Canadian brand since 1997. Switching gears a little bit here, I kind of want to talk about some of the trades the Flames have made, because, we can talk and wait and, dilly-dally around waiting for Craig Conroy to make a move. But this is a discussion topic that I posted on Twitter earlier today, and I kind of want to relitigate here on the show. The Flames made a deal earlier this season. They've already kind of gotten ahead of things, making the Rasmus Andersson trade, with the Vegas Golden Knights, where they moved Andersson for a first rounder, a second rounder, Zach Whitecloud, and Abram Wiebe. And Abram Wiebe, this is kind of an interesting one, just was named the NCHC, the National Collegiate Hockey Conference's Defenseman of the Month, after putting up 11 points in 8 games with North Dakota this past month. Abram Wiebe just had an crazy month over at North Dakota with the Fighting Hawks. And he was 3 times in the month of February named the NCHC's Defenseman of the Week. So Defenseman of the Month now, and 3 times as the Defenseman of the Week. So Abram Wiebe, looking like a real find for the Calgary Flames in that deal. They'll probably sign him to an entry-level deal after this season. And that sort of had me wondering, with Abram Wiebe in that deal and with a first and a second, how does that deal compare to the Elias Lindholm deal that the Flames made 2 seasons ago, where they traded Lindholm to the Vancouver Canucks? They get a first-round pick, which they use on Matvei Gridin. They get a 4th-round pick, which they end up trading down. They get a 5th-round pick, and I think a 6th-round pick out of that one, which they used to pick, I want to say, Eric Jameson and Luke Misa. And then they get Andrei Kuzmenko, they get Hunter Brstevich, and they get Yoni Yermo. So to me, how do these 2 deals compare? I think the Flames, for all that came out when they made that deal with Vegas for Rasmus Andersson about, they're making another trade with Vegas, they're going to get fleeced. I almost wonder if, with all things being equal, I would almost take that Rasmus return over the Vancouver return. And for a couple of reasons. The Rasmus deal, we don't know what the first-round pick value is going to be. That's 2027 first. We do know what it ended up being with Vancouver. Ended up being the number 29 overall pick. Credit to the Flames and their pro scout, or their amateur scouting rather. They ended up getting Matvei Gridin with the 29th overall pick, which looks like an incredible pick. But still, it's a 29th overall pick. So, you divorce the reality of who they got with that pick and just sort of say, okay, the value of a 29th overall pick. They get a 4th rounder. So in the Abram Wiebe deal, in the Rasmus Andersson deal, they get a 2nd rounder, which could turn into a 1st rounder. So they go from a 4th rounder in Lindholm to a 2nd rounder. That's a lot better. Now, of course, you offset that with Brstevich coming in the Lindholm deal, but also you get Abram Wiebe in the Rasmus Andersson deal. Now, I think Brstevich definitely a better prospect than Abram Wiebe. But by the same token, Abram Wiebe looks like a really good prospect. So to me, you take the 1st rounder's kind of a wash. 2nd round pick, definitely better than the 4th round pick. Brstevich probably better than Wiebe, but where's the gap? And then I look at it, would you rather have Kuzmenko or Whitecloud? Well, Kuzmenko ended up being flipped by Philadelphia right after the Flames traded him for a 3rd round pick. I think Zach Whitecloud is worth a lot more than a 3rd round pick. He has good term on his contract. He's not being paid very much. I think you could trade Zach Whitecloud for a haul. So to me, it kind of is very comparable. I think that Zach Whitecloud inclusion in the deal makes it very, very close. So you look at all the different pieces included there, and I think we look at this Rasmus Andersson deal in a year, in 2 years, and say, wow, Conroy kind of did it again. He kind of got the same level of pieces. Because really, functionally, the return for Lindholm was 4 pieces. They got Joni Jurmo. They had him in the American League for like 20 games. It didn't work out. And he was always a long shot to begin with. So really, functionally, in both deals, 4 pieces. And the 4th rounder, 2nd rounder, I mean, they turned the 4th rounder into 2 other picks, a 5th and a 6th, but really a 4th rounder. I think they did just as well, if not even maybe a little bit better, depending on what exactly pans out with Zach Whitecloud in the years to come. As Ree Biggle says in the chat, Whitecloud has plenty of tread left on the tires, and he digs being in Calgary. I think that alone puts him way above a guy like Andrei Kuzmenko, who was, God bless him, very much a mercenary when he came to Calgary. So I put that on Twitter earlier today. I said, which Flames trade return is better? Right now, 72% of people say that it was the Elias Lindholm trade that is better for the Calgary Flames as far as the return is concerned. And I get it. Matt Begridden looks great. Hunter Brzustevich has been a good Flame in his young career already. They got a lot of good out of it. But I just wonder about how that Andersson deal will age. And it makes me really excited to see what the Flames will be able to get out of future deals. Blake Coleman, Nazem Kadri. If you can get a 1st-round pick, a couple of 2nd-round picks out of some of those deals, you're really happy. Because as it stands, the Flames coming off the 25 draft where they made 10 picks, this year they got 8. I want to see if they can get back up to 10 again in this upcoming draft, get some more picks out of some of these players they have to sell. And remember, I mean, I already saw it a little bit, and I understand why. The Noah Hannafin deal has not been completed yet. The Calgary Flames got a goaltending prospect out of that deal in Kirill Zarubin, who is looking outstanding in the MHL this season. One of the best young goaltenders in all of Russia. And they still have yet to use the 1st-round pick that they got from Vegas in that Noah Hannafin deal. And as it's shaking out, I mean, the 1st rounder they got from Vancouver for Lindholm ended up being 29th overall. Well, the 1st-round pick they could get from Vegas, or the 1st-round pick they will get from Vegas, could end up being in the teens when all is said and done. It could be 10 spots higher than the one that they got from Vancouver. As of today, right now, pending the results of today's games, Vegas is 12th in the National Hockey League, 12th with 70 points in 60 games. And if you expand that out to points percentage, they actually fall to 13th. They fall below Anaheim, who has just 1 fewer points in 1 less game. So it could end up being a little bit better as we move forward. The Noah Hannafin trade, it could end up looking a little bit more favorable for the Calgary Flames. Let's tell you a little bit about one of our other partners here on the Warmies, and we are so excited to have them along. We're all obviously waiting until the trade deadline gets here on Friday, but the nice thing is that even after the trade deadline is gone and over, you still have the ability to play Roll Up the Rim to Win with our friends over at Tim Hortons. It is the 40th anniversary of Roll Up the Rim, and we are so excited to be partnered with Tim Hortons this month. They are the best. Roll-up season is around until March 22nd. Don't wait until it's over to realize you forgot to play. For more info, check out timhortons.ca/rollup. Roll Up to Win is only at Tim's, and you can play on the cup while supplies last. You can play on the app. You get double plays if you order in advance. The Tim's app is great. I mean, they got little games in there that you can play. They got, if you want to apply for their credit card, you can get a credit card for Tim Hortons. I didn't even know that. They got all sorts of stuff going on. And for those of you who are asking, and I know nobody's asked yet, but people want to know. I know that you want to know. I'm an apple fritter guy. I'm a huge apple fritter guy. Every now and then I'll go for the vanilla dip, but the apple fritter is where it's at. So thank you to the folks over at Tim Hortons for being such great sponsors of the Warmies right now. And hey, Jack Rosa in the chat just brought up a very good point. Blasty is back this evening. The Flames wearing their black jerseys. It's your first chance to see Zach Whitecloud wearing one of those sexy black Blasty jerseys, and he's going to look good in it. So go to the Dome if you can get some last-second tickets or watch the game on TV. It's going to be a fun one tonight. Calgary versus Dallas. Gary Bettman is in the building tonight with the mayor, Jeremy Farkas. It's going to be crazy. They're going to play their tails off for the mayor and the commissioner of the NHL because they're here to talk about maybe the World Cup coming to Alberta in a couple of years. Wouldn't that be fun? I mean, it's been such a newsy day that we're only just getting now to the fact that Calgary might be hosting the World Cup of Hockey in a couple of years. Everything Gary Bettman had to say about the arena in today's press conference was very, very favorable. The progress has been just something that's been watched very, very closely, and they're very happy with it from the NHL league office standpoint. So maybe it bodes well. We'll see. They're going to announce which cities or which city will get the bid, win the bid to host in a couple of weeks' time. So something to keep an eye on as we move forward here. Well, we're just about a few minutes away from opening puck drop at the Scotiabank Saddledome. It is the Calgary Flames taking on the Dallas Stars in the penultimate game before the trade deadline on Friday. Should be fun. My name is Mike Gould. I will be back with you after this game for another edition of the Afterburner Show. Who am I on with? Let's go check this out. I think I might be on with, our buddy Kent Wilson on today's edition of the show. That'll be a lot of fun. Hey, there's 3 games in a row here where the Flames are wearing Blasty this week, and I will be on the Warmies and the Afterburner for all of them. We'll have my buddy Robert Munich on the show on Thursday, and then on Saturday it'll be Kent once again. And then, of course, on Friday, here on the Flames Nation Barnburner channel, get ready for wall-to-wall coverage of the NHL trade deadline. Folks, enjoy today's game. Jack Rosa just made another good comment. Not only is Zach Whitecloud wearing Blasty tonight, so is Zane Parekh. That sounds like a great chance for him to score his first goal of the season in style. Enjoy the game. I'll be back with you right afterwards for the Afterburner with our buddy Kent Wilson. Until then, for our friends at Tim Hortons, at Sports Interaction, my name is Mike Gould, and this has been yet another edition of The Warmies.
Hey, buddies. Thanks for watching. We appreciate it. Also, if you could throw in a like and subscribe, it does help us out with what it is we are doing. And check out more at Flame.